Taka-Arashi is an interesting character to talk about. Making his debut in Virtua Fighter 3 in 1996, Taka is a sumo wrestler that defines the weight class system in 3D fighting games since he's the heaviest character in the game. After a 12-year absence from appearing in other games in this series with Virtua Fighter 4 and Virtua Fighter 5 Vanilla, he made his return in Virtua Fighter 5R alongside with the debuting Jean Guizhou in 2008. But why? Why was Taka absent for 12 years? I remember when I was a kid growing up, I played a lot of VF3 TB for the Dreamcast. When VF4 came out for the PlayStation 2 in 2002, I noticed that Taka was missing from the roster. What happened? For the sake of this video, I'm going to analyze the disappearance of Taka-Arashi in the series in terms of gameplay and how Sega AM2 tied it into its story. With that in mind, let's begin. In Virtua Fighter 3, Taka is a sumo wrestler that is known for his brutal fighting style. One day, while entertaining at a bar in the United States, Taka settled an argument with a man who was well known in the underground fighting scene and defeated him in a street fight. He then returned to Japan and informed his boss that he will be leaving the world of sumo wrestling behind. On that same day, he received the invitation to enter the third World Fighting Tournament. Virtua Fighter 5R would explain his absence due to his failure in the third tournament since Taka wasn't familiar with other fighting styles of his various opponents. It sucked for him because sumo has always been a part of his life and he was an undefeated sumo wrestler since he was a kid. His humiliating loss caused him to leave the sumo world and move back to the mountain village where he used to train. Since then, Taka lost all of his motivation to compete until he was saved by a sumo coach who was an ex-worker in his stable. Thanks to the coach's encouragement, Taka's motivation came back and his undefeated streak continued to rise in the sumo world. He made it to the finals of the sumo tournament only to not show up at the last minute. The reason for that is because he received an invitation to enter the 5th World Fighting Tournament and decided to compete there instead. His sumo coach smiled and wished him the best. In other words, he actually said this: Taka, go and create havoc!
Whee! Gotcha, bitch!
No. Wait. Wait.
Alright, that was it for Taka's story. Now let's talk about his gameplay and why it's different compared to the entire cast. Unlike other sumo wrestlers such as E Honda, Ganryu, and even Hinako, Taka's gameplay is more authentic due to Virtua Fighter's realistic physics, which means he is, as I mentioned before, a super heavyweight. A good example can be shown in Virtua Fighter 3. While Virtua Fighter 3 toned down the floatiest jumps, some characters are able to jump higher than normal, and some can do a little bit of a short hop, case in point like, Kagemaru, for example. That's also the same case in Virtua Fighter 5 as well, minus the floaty jumps, since it's no longer a thing in this game. Except for Kage, since he still has his. But as for Taka, well, due to him being a super heavyweight, this is his max jump. He doesn't have a high jump, and that's his maximum short hop. So in other words, he can't be easily launched for combos. Same thing for Virtua Fighter 5. That's his max height when he jumps. Just short hops. That's it. Also, instead of doing wake-up kicks, Taka can either do a wake-up slap or a wake-up headbutt. And since we're on the subject, let's talk about combos and throws against Taka. When it comes to the throw animations in Virtua Fighter, it usually involves a character tossing their opponent, or in some cases, launching them into the sky for combo opportunities such as Kage's throws, for example. Against Taka, however, most characters under a certain weight class can barely lift him up, resulting in different throwing animations. Case in point, look how Kagemaru barely throws him with one of his moves. He can barely pick him up. And in some cases, some throws such as Lao's neutral throw, for example, does more damage than the other. The possible reason for that is because certain characters will struggle in picking him up, which leads to Taka taking more damage since he landed harder on the animation. Combos in weight class are common in fighting games, but it's emphasized greatly in Virtua Fighter. This is one of my combos that I use with Go against other characters like Jackie, for example. When I try to do the same combo against Taka, it's going to drop because once again, Taka is hard to launch due to being a heavier character. So instead, I have to remove a certain string out of the combo. This is why you gotta learn your anti-Taka combos in VF. Or in some cases, something like this can happen. What?! So now we go back to the question, why was Taka missing from the series for 12 years? Here's what happened. During an interview with Sega AM2's Daichi Katagiri and Matoko Osaki back in 2012, Katagiri mentioned that the reason why Taka-Arashi didn't make the cut in Virtua Fighter 4 is because he was difficult to animate during the development process due to the fact that VF4 was looking for a fast-paced gameplay. Since Taka was a larger character, he would feel out of place with that technology at the time. Reminder that VF4 ran on Sega Naomi 2 back in 2001. Hiroshi Kataoka, who is the current head of the Sega AM2 team, also supported that statement. Fun fact, he was nearly cut from VF3 due to the difficulties with his jumping moves. Thankfully, with the release of Virtua Fighter 5R, Sega AM2 had the technology to add him back into the game, alongside with Virtua Fighter 5 Final Showdown and Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown years later. Sega AM2 went above and beyond with Taka-Arashi in Virtua Fighter. Despite the technical difficulties of being a larger character, which resulted in being absent for a few games, Taka's journey into the VF roster is an interesting case that needs to be studied by fighting game fans who are new to the series. After all, this is why I say that Virtua Fighter is considered the blueprint of 3D fighting games, because it leaves a blueprint on how 3D fighters can be structured within their gameplay. Now let's hope to God he returns in a new Virtua Fighter game without any issues. Alright, so before we end this video, I really want to show off this boat glitch in Virtua Fighter 3, which is seen in the Dreamcast port of the game, and it's really easy to do. I'll take you on a couple steps. Step 1, make sure Taka is selected. For this one, I used the roll since the roll is actually just as heavy as Taka, so it should work perfectly. Step 2, pick Shun stage, which is his boat stage. Step 3, push Taka to the edge of the boat. Please make sure not to wring him out, otherwise he will fall into the water. Once you get it at the right position, the boat will start sinking and then turning, and your characters will be floating all over the place. It is hilarious. As proof, you can also try this with other characters as well. Here's one what I did with Lau. Notice that he's sinking all the way down to the bottom, and he's floating all the way back up. This was actually not a hard one you can definitely do. And you can also throw as well. Love that part. Every time. I tried doing this with Aoi as well, and as a result, this was hard to do because she is pretty much the lightest character in the game at the time before, Eileen and El Blaze were a thing. Despite the fact that it took longer than usual, I was able to get it done in no time. And look at that. He's just floating, and I'm just going to throw at any given moment. And fall. Lovely. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. Bye! Hey, thank you all for watching this video. If you want to see more Virtua Fighter content, subscribe. Thank you.